Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Allison and today I have a new layout to share with you. This layout was designed in my Cricut and cut with my Cricut as well. I also added some stitching, which you can see on the layout base, and one of the papers that are going to be layered behind this notebook paper that I cut with my Cricut. I'm adding the whole thing to the layout base with some craft foam just to lift it up a little bit and add some dimension. I'm just using my Tombow Mono liquid glue to adhere it together, and I'm going to slap that whole thing on the back side of that. I'll take another piece and cut just a small piece off of it, of the craft foam that is, and put it where that hole is. Once that's done, I begin adhering my title. I cut my title with my Cricut as well, and I cut it from pattern paper. That's something that I don't often do. Usually I stick with cardstock to create my titles. I find if I do cut a title with pattern paper, it ends up being hard to read and kind of gets lost in a way, if that makes sense. But I went out on a limb and cut the title, part of the title, with pattern paper. I had kind of toyed with the idea of maybe outlining the UR with pen to help it stand out a little bit, but I decided to leave it, and I'm glad that I did, because in just a minute here, I'm going to stamp another portion of my title, which is going to be capable of. You'll actually see me go through the stamping process for this part of the title as well. I wanted to take you through the process so you could see just the stamping, which is something that I don't often share in my videos. And I thought that I would do that this time. And my deep, dark little secret, the reason I don't share my stamping very often is because my head gets in the way. And I don't like my head being in the frame at all. So I cut it out if I do any stamping, just because it irritates me. I don't know if it bothers you, but I don't like it. But I thought I'd leave it in this time just to show you how I create my titles. So I'm working on the phrase capable of, and I'm stamping that in Wisteria ink, which is from Close to My Heart. I will include the links to Close to My Heart in the description box below, as well as links for the other products that I used in this layout, which is Cocoa Vanilla Studio. I used both the Sun-Kissed collection, just the ephemera, and also Daydream. That'll be coming a little bit later in the video, so I'll explain a little bit more about that when I get there. Except the title, the UR, was cut from pattern paper from Daydream. The Sun cut files that I'm adding right now is actually from a 6x6 paper pad that I've had in my stash forever. I don't know what manufacturer it came from because it was just a loose sheet. And yeah, I couldn't tell you where it came from, but I really thought the yellow was a nice touch to add bursts of color, and it creates my visual triangle as well, so that was a total win. The yellow is actually, it's not solid, it's a yellow polka dot. You'll see that in the close-ups at the end of the video. And then the centers of the suns was a striped circle that was cut with my Cricut. I decided to leave the main part of the title empty, so it cut in two portions. There was the positive portion of the word amazing, and then the negative. I wanted to use the negative. I thought it would look really neat just leaving it open and pairing it with some pattern paper. The white paper that it is adhered to is actually patterned. It's got a little honeycomb design in it. It's hard to see on the screen right now, but it is there. You'll see it in the close-ups at the end of the video. And I glued it in sections just to make sure I could keep the title straight so it didn't go all wonky. And well, basically that's the reason why, just to keep it straight so didn't look funky in the end. So I wanted to leave this part of my video as part of the process video as well. I don't often use ephemera from different manufacturers as much as I love it, and I do hoard it. I buy it all. But I struggle with embellishing, and that's why I began creating so much with my Cricut and designing on my Cricut to help eliminate the frustration and the stress that I feel trying to place things when I'm creating. But I'm finding in the last little bit just recently that I'm making a real effort to try and include more of those products into my layout, so it ends up being sort of a hybrid in a way. So I played with the florals from Daydream, and then I pulled out the florals from Sunkissed and pulled out just the blue, and well, mostly just the blue. There is a little bit of yellow that sneaks into the layout. Originally, I wanted to use more yellow in the top left and the bottom right, but I didn't like that so much. So I turfed that idea and ended up pulling out the blue floral that you see in the top left and loved it. I needed to bring more blue over to the left-hand side of the layout anyways. So it ended up working perfectly. And then I decided in the bottom right, even though there's lots of blue over on that side anyways, I would bring just a little bit more blue, but break it up with a yellow sprig of berries and some leaves. I do also, in just a minute here, to pull out the puffy stickers from the Sunkissed collection and use a couple of those as well. I knew that I wanted to add another leaf that was similar to the leaf in the top left-hand floral cluster. And I knew I also wanted to add a little bit of color over the white heart next to UR. And I'm able to do that with the puffy stickers when I do pull them out. I'm just adding a little tab right now to the right hand side of the page. That ended up being a happy accident as well. It kind of breaks up the purple of the cardstock that's just behind the white pattern paper and the tab, which was cut with my Cricut, that was cut from blue pattern paper. That is actually Heidi Swapp pattern paper that I cut that tab from. Okay, where am I now? I lost my train of thought. So I'm just adding some Tim Holtz phrase stickers to the top of the layout next to the middle sun. I knew that I wanted to add them kind of askew so they're not lined up straight perfectly. I did that. And then I think this is where I add, here we go, the puffy stickers from the Sunkissed collection. With that, this layout is pretty well done. I do add a little bit of shimmer to the floral clusters as well, using a Close to My Heart clear shimmer brush. I add the date as well, but pretty well that's essentially the finished product. I do have close-ups coming up at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a few minutes with me while I share this process video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and a like. And also, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Yay! I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're new and you haven't subscribed, maybe hit the subscribe button and also the little bell so that you can customize your notifications. That way you don't miss anything from me if you enjoy my videos. Here's the close-ups. I'll sign off now. Thanks again for joining me, and I will be back again soon with more creative inspiration. Bye, friends.